Good evening. How are you? Hope you're all okay out there. It's me on my own again tonight. I've sent everyone else for a night off, so it's just me tonight. But hopefully you can all see and hear me okay. So where are we now? Where's it? Tuesday, the 16th of March. So this is Sussex Wildlife Trust TV, broadcasting live again from behind my sofa, as we have been for the last 3 months. This is the 33rd webinar I think we've done. We've had all sorts of webinars since November. There's been mammals, and there's been rye harbour a few times, and there's been thrushes and winter birds. There's been dung and dragonflies and flowers and all sorts of things. But tonight, it's me talking about 100 days of wildlife in lockdown. Now, some of you remember last year when all this madness started, I started writing a diary, and I thought tonight would be a good time to reflect, to look back and look over 100 days of my Corona Wildlife Diaries. And it was actually a year ago today. So a year ago today, we were sent home from where we normally work. This is Woods Mill here, the Wildlife Trust headquarters down near Henfield. And yeah, it was 1 year ago today, March the 16th. We were told to pack up our desks because we'd be working from home for a while. Yeah, it was. I packed a few things. I grabbed my grabbed my hole punch. Took my hole punch with me, an essential item. Now I have no idea why I grabbed a hole punch. It's hardly anything I could use to fight a pandemic with. And to be honest, I haven't used a hole punch for about 5 years. But I grabbed my hole punch, packed my desk up, and I headed home. I kind of thought we'd be home maybe for a few weeks, a few months. But to be honest, as I was loading the car up, I said to James, my colleague, I said, you know what? I don't think we're going to be back until September. I didn't say what September, of course, but a year later, here I am. We're still here. Look at the headlines on March the 16th last year. The Guardian got it right. The virus may last a year, they said. The Mirror, no, they kind of got it wrong. This won't beat Britain. It kind of did. Now, of course, my whole job had changed. My job used to revolve around taking you lovely people out and about around Sussex, taking you around our nature reserves, show you some of the great wildlife highlights we have in this beautiful county of ours. Of course, I haven't been doing that for a year now, so that's all been locked down. And I had plans of my own, of course, last year. I was hoping on going abroad to see my friend Nat over there in Thailand, to look out for some rufous-necked hornbills. I was planning on going away with some other friends, some other colleagues to Estonia to look for bears and Siberian flying squirrels. But all my plans, as most people's plans in 2020, had been chucked in the dustbin. So there would be no Thai jungles, and there'd be no Estonian forests. In fact, there wasn't much chalk grassland and British woodland either. I was kind of stuck here. And here is this little bungalow. A bungalow just in the centre of Sussex, not too far from Henfield. And we've been living here for about 8 years now. So when the lockdown started last year, around about this time last year, I did a bit of panic buying. Of course, I bought a 25-kilogram sack of black beans just in case provisions ran out. Those black beans are still going. In fact, we had a black bean chili for tea tonight, so they've lasted a year. I made some other essential purchases too. I bought a reasonable amount of toilet roll just to see me through the first few weeks of lockdown there. And yeah, I sort of sat around and had to sort of think of a new way of working. I couldn't be leading walks, of course, and doing events as I normally do. And I had an idea to put together a diary. So I had a chat with some of my colleagues who run the social media team. So I'm going to write a diary maybe every day. I was kind of inspired by some of the classic diaries, of course, by legends such as Samuel Pepys, Anne Frank, and Nelson Mandela, and of course Kenneth Williams. Now, of all those amazing diaries there and memoirs, I've only read one of those books. You can probably guess which one it is. Of course, it's Kenneth Williams. A great book of Kenneth Williams' diaries, by the way. Very, very fascinating. I thought I'd write my own. I was just saying that, there's another diary I've read, and I'm sure some of you would be familiar with The Country Diary of an Edwardian Lady by Edith Holden. Which is a book that's quite a big seller, I think, back in the sort of 70s and 80s. It's a lovely book. If you know the book, it's a young lady there. She was actually born. She was born exactly a century before I was born, 1871, and she died tragically when she was 48. So actually, I turned 49 last year. So I've actually outlived her. But it's an amazing book. She has these incredible watercolors, and she observes the wildlife in her parish with her nature notes and poetry. That was a bit of inspiration for me. But maybe I could do something similar. Maybe not so much with my my watercolor skills, because I haven't got any. But I got my little camera here. I got my little camera. So I decided to sort of to record the nature and wildlife just in my little garden, in the same way that Edith Holden did a century before. So this evening's talk is going to be looking back a year ago at what is it, celebrate or commemorate? Not too sure. I'm not sure what sort of mood I'm in tonight. Whether it's like a party mood or whether I should be feeling utterly sad. I've got a little party hat. Let's put the party hat on. I've got a party popper here. I don't know if that's going to raise the mood at all. No, didn't work at all. So hopefully you can still hear me. I haven't broken my speakers, but okay. Well, we'll crack on. So this evening's talk: 100 Days of Wildlife in Lockdown, the Corona Wildlife Diaries. It's kind of looking back with Blencowe, really reminiscing to those first 100 days in lockdown in 2020. And even though I'm looking back, I'm also looking forward. I thought it'd be a good idea to do this talk tonight because it will show you some of the things I saw in March, April, May and June 2020, and hopefully give you a few things to look forward to as we head into the spring and the summer, hopefully. So we'll start on day one. So March the 18th was the first day. It took me a few days at home to get myself sorted, to get my hole punch working. And so on March the 18th, my first diary entry was the peacock butterfly. I popped over the road to see Graham over the road there to make sure he's okay. And when I came back, I was greeted by this beautiful peacock butterfly perched on the door frame. Well, I thought these peacock butterflies would have spent the winter as adults in various nooks and crannies around your home, perhaps in your outhouses or in old hollow trees. And it inspired me to go and look into the garage, because most years we do see peacock butterflies which have overwintered in our garage. I'm not sure how they get in, but they can't get out either. And I watched this one here trying to get out. It was sort of battering himself against the window. And even though it was my first day in lockdown, I kind of knew how he felt. I could feel his frustration. So I very gently put him on my hand, took him outside in the sunshine. What a beauty! There he is there. So he warmed up in the sunshine for a bit, and then flapped his wings, and then flew off. I felt very jealous. As I said here, I can't see what it says down here now. Let's move this a second. Whoops. I see. I'll put it here. I don't do that. This stunning peacock had been shut up in a dark corner somewhere for months. It made me wonder how I'm going to feel after what could be a few months of my own hibernation. But one thing's for sure, I'm not going to be as gorgeous and resplendent as this peacock butterfly when I come out the other side. It's very true. That's very true. My first worry, of course, was get my hair cut. So I got the clippers out and shaved my head on day one. And those hair clippings weren't wasted, because in day two I was out in the garden, and long-tailed tits make incredible nests this time of year. In fact, we had one in the window just only this morning, picking all the cobwebs, use it to tie its nest together. And so I thought it may be nice to put my hair clippings in the old bird feeder there, so long-tailed tits could come along and line their nest with my luscious locks. Didn't work, of course. I think it's still sat there now after a year. It's pretty manky out there. And one of the things about the diary was there's lots of comments underneath every day. So thank you for people who wrote their comments in. They got stranger as the 100 days went on. Here's one from just day two. I'd mentioned that long-tailed tits reminded me of Michael Jackson impersonators. And Fran here wrote in about a wood pigeon. he saw in the morning, walking backwards on the ridge of the roof opposite. It looked to all intents and purposes as if it was trying to moonwalk, a moonwalking wood pigeon. So yeah, as the diary went on, they said the comments got stranger and stranger. So thank you for everyone who wrote their comments in throughout the 100 days. It kept me well, confused and entertained, I guess, as we went along. And then the big day came, March the 23rd. I'm sure you all remember now, watching the TV, when the Prime Minister was there telling us to stay home. And that was quite a surreal night. I went remember sort of going out for a walk in the street. It was very quiet, and you know, it's very strange to the realization this was happening. This pandemic was real. This is a serious issue we're facing here. I was walking out in the street that night. I heard redwings. Redwings make a very high-pitched noise. They're birds which don't breed here. They breed way up in Scandinavia. And on the 23rd of March last year, I heard one up in the sky above me, I guess migrating back. Barbara wrote to say, it's a great article. Thank you, Barbara. But that seep, very high-pitched sound call of the redwing was so high-pitched that older persons may not be able to hear it. After about 3 attempts, I thought I could pick it up. So I got the noise again, Barbara. So I'm going to play the high-pitched seep of the redwing. Hopefully you can hear it. Here we go. Hear that? That's the contact call of the redwing there. Now, if you go out this evening, you may still hear the redwings as the final few redwings moving up north, back home to Scandinavia. On day 4, I was admiring my hedge out in the garden. And one of the we planted a kind of sort of a wild hedge, a native wild trees. There's all sorts of bushes in there. A nice bit of hazel, of course. Now, hazel is one of the first flowers you see in the year. Now, I'm sure you know the male hazel flowers. They're the catkins, and that's the male flowers there. If you look very closely at a hazel tree, you'll see the female flowers, these lovely little pink tassely things there on the tree. So one of the first flowers was already in bloom, and it got me thinking last year. There's a good thing about having a viral pandemic in March, is that it's a great time to have a pandemic and a lockdown, because you have this great wave of wildlife. You have the spring ahead of you, all heading your way. There's going to be plenty of exciting things day after day after day will be emerging now. Because as we found out with some of the more recent lockdowns, having a lockdown in the winter, not so much fun. Not so much fun. I'm not entirely sure I could have written for 100 days of wildlife during the last lockdown over the winter. But yeah, it was great to know there's a lot of great, exciting wildlife will be appearing over the coming weeks. So I thought I'd give a quick guided tour of the garden on day 5. This is the name of the house. This Woodstock is the name of the house here. It's not we didn't choose it, but I think it's quite a nice name. It's pretty 60s-ish, and a lot of the decor was from the 60s as well. There's the house when we moved in. As you can see, it's very neat lawns at the front there, very neatly mown, and neat little flower beds, all that sort of nonsense. At the back are lots of patio and sort of, and very neat flower beds and lawns and fences. But I haven't got time for that. I mean, the planet's dying. We need to be doing our bit here to save the planet. These sort of things, they went out in the 70s. So I got rid of all the mown lawns, and we put in some nice wildflowers, a lovely pond, a nice native hedge there, and planted a few trees as well. And that all paid off, because when lockdown came in 2020, I had a nice wildflower garden which was full of life and full of interest for me. A few odd things in the garden as well. There's a statue of a pig, which is still watching me from over there. Verity asked if she could have the. Actually, a lot of people asked if they could have the pig, and after I sort of said how much I didn't approve of it, but suddenly because everyone wanted it, I suddenly wanted it myself. So it has stayed. It has stayed here, and amazingly, this guy stayed too. A statue of Ian Botham, which was here when we moved in. I have no idea why anyone would want a statue of Ian Botham. I'm amazed he survived the lockdown. Brian wrote in and referred to Ian Botham as a prize clown. Well, it isn't what I would refer to Ian Botham as, but I think the words I would use wouldn't be appropriate on a webinar. So a great day on day 8, because I saw my first brimstone butterfly. Brimstones would have, like the peacock butterfly, would have overwintered as adults. On the first warm days of spring, you may see a large yellow butterfly flying around your garden. I know a lot of people have seen brimstones already. I haven't seen one yet, but a lot of people have seen one already in 2021. To me, it's a great sign that spring is starting. I wrote down the brimstone is the first. What happened here? It's the wrong button. Oops, there we go. The brimstone is the first sulphurous spark to ignite the blaze of summer. I got very poetic, and I said you can't start a fire without a spark, which of course was stolen from a Bruce Springsteen a song. Any excuse to get Bruce Springsteen in my talks. Of course, there he is there. And then day 9, I got when I sort of left when I left Woods Mill with my trusty hole punch. I also grabbed a box of wildlife survey equipment because I knew it would come in handy. So on day 9, I took you through a guided tour of some of the equipment I borrowed from the Wildlife Trust. I had my moth trap, some binoculars, a trail camera, microscope, one of those hedgehog tunnels, some small mammal traps, and a bat detector. All things which came in handy over the 100 days, as well as a few other essentials as well, including a toilet roll, a game of Kaplunk, and a bottle of tequila. I think I may have overindulged on the tequila on this particular evening, because on day 10, I woke up with quite a headache, and I wandered out in the garden to hear the song of a chiffchaff high in the sallow tree in the back garden here. Not the most inspiring song when you have a hangover. Let's play it now. Hopefully you can hear this chiffchaff singing. This is my first chiffchaff of 2020. That was rattling around inside my head. It's a very boring sound of the chiffchaff. It's someone says it's a sound of industry. It's like a boom, 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 boom. Very repetitive chiff-chaff, chiff-chaff. There's a little fella there. He doesn't look like much, but he's got quite a voice. So hopefully you'll be hearing the first chiff-chaffs of the spring soon. Let's play that sound again. Hopefully none of you have got a hangover there tonight, but let's play that sound again so you can familiarize yourself with the repetitive sound of the chiff-chaff. These little guys will be singing high up in the trees soon. So listen out for those. I know people have heard them already this year, but you'll be hearing them soon in the next few weeks. Now, just to point out that some of these photos I'm using tonight aren't my photos. Now, I'm not a great photographer. I've got a little tiny camera here. There it is. I'm not sure how it works. I had it for a few years. I haven't read the instruction book yet, but this is a lovely photo of a chiffchaff here by Bob Eade. This is my photo of a chiffchaff. I started to try and get some photos for my blog. Again, not the most inspiring picture. I thought maybe I have a bit more time on my hands now to take up wildlife photography in my back garden during lockdown. And there's me. I made a sort of hide on the sofa just over here. And if you look very closely, you can just make me out. I'm between the pillows and the Elvis Presley chair over there. I'm just lurking on the sofa. And I was waiting this particular occasion for one of my favorite birds, garden birds, the jay. Now, I refer to the jay as the Danny LaRue of the crow family. Now, many people don't know Danny LaRue. Hopefully you do, but a very extravagant and flamboyant performer. There he is there in his favorite pink jay costume, it looks like. I love jays, and every morning one would fly into the garden. I'll be there waiting with my camera. And there's my photo. Again, not the most inspiring picture, but I waited. I didn't give up. And next morning, I was there on the sofa again. I got a better picture of a jay. I'm quite proud of that. This is my jay picture. I was quite pleased with that. It's in focus, and you can see what it is. So amazing birds. I can't believe they're crows. I mean, just look at that big pink crow. Beautiful. And also, while I was looking around the back of the sofa, I found a green woodpecker, and we'll see this guy again in a few weeks' time in the talk. Now, day 12. Now, this was a lot of people seem to think a very popular day for a lot of people in the diary, because this is the day where I had to face one of my deepest fears. Now, as the pandemic moved in and there was fears of food shortages, remember all that? People were panic buying in the shops. I thought maybe a good idea to plant some seeds in my greenhouse so I could had some tomato seeds going spare, and I thought maybe I can plant some tomatoes and some radishes, so I'll have some food later in the year when they're all rioting in the supermarkets. One of the problems was before the tomatoes, I put the tomatoes in the greenhouse, I had to evict a very large resident. There is a big spider. Well, there was. Hopefully she's gone in the greenhouse, and I had to very bravely ask my wife to go in and move her out. I have a very irrational fear of spiders. Now I respect them because they're incredible animals, of course. Spiders, amazing things. But yeah, for a 6 foot middle-aged man, I have a very rational fear of spiders, and so I had to stand well back while she was escorted from the premises and put down the road in over someone's fence. There's a bit of footage there of there she is there, but I haven't got the picture. I wasn't even brave enough to put the picture of the spider on the webinar tonight. But yeah, I think she returned. I saw her again walking back in a few weeks later. But anyway, the greenhouse was free, was hopefully spider free. We started planting some seeds so we could feed ourselves come the summer. But we're still in the spring, and on day 13, March the 30th last year, the blackthorn started blooming along the hedge. Always a lovely thing to see the blackthorn coming out. Later in the year, of course, you'll be seeing the hawthorn in the hedge coming out too. These plants are great early nectar sources for bees and hoverflies and other insects which are emerging from hibernation. And then the more bird song. On day 19, I heard my first blackcap. Now, the blackcap is a migratory warbler which would have flown back in from its holidays way down south. Has come back to England and was singing this song high in the tree. This one's not as boring as the chiff chaff. This was a proper warble. Let's give it a go. That was April the 5th last year. Lovely to see a bit of blue sky and a blackcap singing in the tree. So only a few weeks' time, folks, you'll be hearing blackcaps in your gardens, perhaps, or in the local area. On a sad day on April the 5th, we lost Bill Withers, great soul singer. A sad day. Look for Bill there. He's gone. Bless him. Also a sad day on April the 8th because we lost another of my favourite singers, John Prine. Terrible, a tragic week back there in 2020. There was also a big pink moon that evening, and also I had a close encounter with a green woodpecker. Now I say green woodpecker. Actually, it was the insides of a green woodpecker, if you see what I mean. A bit of a green woodpecker poo I found on the front lawn. Now I am fascinated by green woodpecker poo. It's you see them sometimes on your lawn. They're kind of coils of, they're like cigarette ends almost there. Green woodpeckers eat mainly ants because they have this incredible weapon which they use to draw ants out of ant nests. They have a massive tongue. Now the tongue, it's like, well, I can't read it, but the tongue sort of starts here, the top of their head, it goes all the way around the back of their head, then comes out of their mouth. And so it's so long. It'd be like me, well, if my tongue whipping out halfway across the room here. I remember years ago, I was cycling to work and I saw a dead green woodpecker being hit by a car by the side of the road. It had been freshly hit. And so I pulled over and I got off my bike and I picked it up. It was amazing to see. And I've always wanted to do this, but I sort of reached up, I pulled its tongue, I sort of pulled it and pulled it. It really stretched out. Absolutely incredible. Remember, I was doing it. A woman sort of drove past quite slowly with her window wound down, was sort of staring at me. She must have thought I was throttling the thing or something. But an incredible thing. There's a photograph I found online just to show you this incredible tongue they have. So what they do is, they'll go to an ant nest and they'll sort of bury their beak in there and they shoot their sort of sticky tongue out and suck all the ants up. I got a bit of footage. I managed to film that green woodpecker that was behind the sofa, and then had a bit of fun dissecting the green woodpecker poo. So let's I'm going to watch my little short video about that.
As inside the poo, you'll find, if you break the white surface, the green woodpecker poo is absolutely stuffed with ant skeletons. It's really cool. Look at this. If I stretch,
I love doing that. Look at me. I love playing around with woodpecker poo. I'm never happier than when I'm playing around in woodpecker poo. And inside, of course, you find these incredible, the little bodies of the ants, the great ant massacre of my back garden. And you find the little exoskeletons there in the poo. And I started looking at the moon. I started off looking at the moon, ended up looking at something a lot more small, looking down the tiny detail of these poor ants in the woodpecker poo. Amazing. So I borrowed a trail camera from work, and I talked about this quite a lot in my recent webinar about nocturnal wildlife. But I put my trail camera in the back garden, and I set it up. There it is, there, one of those trail cameras. I set it up, and I tied it to something in the back garden. There it is. I strapped it to the Ian Botham statue. He has got some uses, I guess. And I put some bait down, and in the morning, I came out and saw what I'd been walking around my garden late at night. I was impressed to see we had a lovely female fox, a vixen. Gorgeous animals, foxes, of course. And as we know, you find these in most urban areas across Sussex, as well as out in the countryside as well. Now, we didn't dig a pond last year. We dug a pond, I think, 2014. So there we are. There we are, doing the pond there. It doesn't look like much, but it's turned into a lovely wildlife pond. Ponds are a great thing to do for wildlife in your garden. It's probably the best thing you can do is put some water in your garden. They hold all sorts of life, as well as, of course, providing vital water to insects and birds and other things as well. Certainly having a pond here just outside the window was great during lockdown. It provided me with plenty of interest. And in April, we started seeing the first damselflies emerging from the pond. These are the large red damselflies. Typically, the first ones you see are large red damsels. I made a short video here of the male as he holds down the female as she lays her eggs on the vegetation in the pond. Only a few weeks off, folks, we'll start seeing our first damselflies. They're quite hard to photograph. They're so thin that the camera always seems to focus. It can't focus on the damselfly, it focuses on the background. So I spent a lot of time trying to work out how to use the camera. And while I was doing this, I noticed there was something moving at the back of the pond. I managed to get a few photos before it slithered off into the water, but I waited around, laying on my belly, looking across the water, and I managed to get this. It was not a great photo, but I got a photo nevertheless, of a grass snake swimming in my pond. Now, I love snakes, absolutely love them. And I've never seen a grass snake in my garden in the 8 years I've been here. So it's only a small one, but I was absolutely thrilled to think the pond we built here was home to a grass snake. On day 30, April the 16th, I saw my first holly blue. So holly blue, I saw them quite a lot in the garden last year. They're lovely pale blue butterflies. If you see a pale blue butterfly flying quite high in the spring, it's probably going to be a holly blue. Low down the ground, you may see a common blue, but holly blues you'll find flying throughout your gardens. I managed to get a video of this one here. This poor thing had emerged. It's emerged with its wing all crumpled. I didn't think it was going to fly, but it did. Yeah, its wings seemed quite deformed, but it still flew around. It kind of flew around in sort of circles, but it was still flying around. On day 31, well, I think this is one of the most popular days in the diary, April the 17th, when I'd wondered if that fox we saw in the garden, I've seen on my trail camera, I wondered if she had a home and a family somewhere down the cul-de-sac here. And she did, but I wasn't really prepared for how close she was living. Here's my fridge in the kitchen here. If we go, there we go. We go through the kitchen. Through the back door, over the neighbour's wall, behind the neighbour's shed. I was amazed to see this. amazing. There's a fox family just over the walls. That gave me hours of entertainment. Just sat there with a cup of tea, leaning over the wall, watching these guys, seeing what they're up to. Amazing to think I've got a family of wild dogs living over the fence there. I put the trail camera down, lowered it down one day on a pole, and got some lovely footage of the gang down there. Here's one of them now. Look. I think the best clip I got was the time the mother came back one evening with a bit of food. There's a bit of a pile on now. Usually foxes have about 4 or 5 cubs on average, but this young lady must have had a few more. See if you can count them. I think that was 8. I still watch it and see 9 sometimes, maybe it's 7, but I think we'll go for 8. Amazing. And as you can see from the comments that day, people love that. I think it's something raised people's spirits during the end of April there. So April the 21st, I did a bit more wildlife, practical wildlife gardening. I decided to make some homes for bees. Now you can do this. You get a drill. Get a drill. And some bits of wood. You drill some holes in that wood, different sizes of holes. You can do it in chunks of wood there, or in some standing wood. I had an old bit of log in the garden. I just buried it over by the vegetable patch, and I just drilled some holes. It went a bit crazy with the drill. Different size holes will hopefully become a residence for some of your local bees. And there's nothing more exciting than seeing your first client moving in. Oh, I didn't never come out again. I forgot. Yeah, so that's a great thing to do in the spring. An activity. You can perhaps need to supervise the kids before you give them any sort of a heavy drills to use. But it's certainly something which is a benefit in gardens. If you look online on the Wildlife Trust website to give you more information about how to make them, where to put them, you can of course go and spend £55 on these ones you see in garden centres. But to be honest, you can make your own very easily, and it's a nice little project to make your own in the spring, put them out there, and the money you save you can donate to the Wildlife Trust. In fact, if you do go to garden centres, something which always annoys me at garden centres, they do sell lots of things which they claim are great for wildlife, things like butterfly feeding stations and butterfly houses, bumblebee homes. Most of these things don't actually work, and I always say it's quite sad, really, because people have the best intentions and sort of buy these little gadgets and stuff, and these little novelties. They don't really work. So, as I say, you're better off making your own bee hotels and planting some wildflowers for the butterflies, and just joining the Wildlife Trust for the money you save. Speaking of butterflies, on April the 23rd, it was officially the first day of spring. Now, you may have your own first day of spring, but my first day of spring is the day I see my first orange tip. And I was in the garden, and at last, April the 23rd, a bit later than normal for me, I saw an orange tip flying through. Usually, of course, I'm out driving around the countryside, and you see orange tips flying along the side of the road in the hedgerows. I had to wait this year until my orange tip came to me. So April the 23rd was the first day of spring. Beautiful butterfly, easy to tell. It's got these white butterfly with orange tips on its wings. So it's as simple as that. If you see a butterfly with orange tips, it's called the orange tip. When its wings are closed, it's surprisingly camouflaged, but yeah, quite easy to identify. It'll be a month or so, we'll start seeing the orange tips. And when we do, spring will officially be here. And then, of course, have you seen these guys as well? Another of my favorite spring insects, the crazy looking bee fly with a big proboscis there. And this one's quite an unusual one. This is a dotted bee fly, which I was quite surprised to see in my back garden. So yeah, so that was the garden. That was the house and garden when we moved in about 8 years ago. Let's say very neat lawns. Now I don't like neat lawns. It's such a waste of planets to have a neatly mown lawn. What's the point of that? This is what you want really. This is an incredible habitat we used to have a lot of in Britain. These incredible wildflower meadows. Now we've lost so many, 7.5 million acres of wildflower meadow have been lost so far, and they're still being destroyed. Now it's claimed that 6 million acres of grassland was ploughed to grow cereals during the Second World War. And this started a process which would see the area of lowland meadows decline by 97% in the following 40 years. So it's a habitat, an amazing species-rich habitat we used to have in Britain. We just don't have anymore. We've lost 7.5 million acres. Put that into sort of context, 7.5 million acres is equal to 15 times the size of Sussex. And that's a lot of wildflowers we lost. So we should be doing our bit to restore wildflowers in our gardens all throughout our areas. Of course, when you do go for a walk in the countryside, you do see green stretching across the horizon. But typically, what you see these days is intensive managed grassland and kind of cereal monoculture. You don't see many insects. There isn't many wildflowers there. Not as much life as there could be in a wildflower meadow. And people talk, of course, about and get concerned about the rainforest being destroyed, and rightly so. But we have this incredible habitat here, which is being destroyed in Britain. And the thing is, we all have, if you have a garden, you have the opportunity to restore your own little bit of wildflower grassland. But so many of us, of course, will spend all Sunday just puffing and puffing and just destroying it. I can't understand why people work so hard to destroy the life they have in their garden. And so what I decided to do when I moved in was to bung the mower away, get rid of the mower, and to create a little wildflower patch in the small area of lawns we have at the front and back here. So I read a few books, read some stuff online, got some gardening gloves and some wildflower seeds, put the kettle on, and off we went. And the first thing we did was hire a stripper. And there she is. So we've got a turf stripper, and it's quite important to take off the dense layer of grass at the top. Now, this lawn had been a very grassy lawn for many, many years. That grass had become quite established and kind of outcompeted all the other flowers. So we decided to strip that top layer of turf. It's quite a messy job. We took the top layer of turf off and we put it on the side of the garden, and we used the soil to actually sort of fill in a low point in the garden at the back there. So it came in quite handy. But there we go. This is my neighbour David helping out. Thank you, David. He helped us out over the weekend, taking the turf off the top of the lawn there. This is about 2013, I think. Now it didn't look great. I've got to say, that first weekend, a wet weekend in the winter, it looked pretty. It didn't look too great. But there's our neighbour. There's Graham across the road there. He came out. He's a vicar. Graham's a vicar. I thought he was giving us his blessing, but he actually came out and called us. He said, "What are you doing?" He referred to us as enviromaniacs. He called us. He said, "That was a perfectly good lawn." I said, "Graham, just bear with us. I promise it'll get better." So we tidied it up, and then we waited over the winter. So over a few months over the winter, we put some seed in, of course. First, some native wildflower seed, and in the spring, the plants started coming up. I'm very excited. I got a photo of my first flower in the garden there. I used a kind of cornfield annual mix, and it's just really to impress the neighbours, because it's quite a show in the first year. I think it was something quite impressive. I think the neighbours approved. I think I may have gone a bit overboard in the back garden though. We went a bit crazy back there. But after the first year, the meadow sort of stabilizes itself and sort of becomes more of a natural wildflower meadow. And every spring, I wait outside patiently to see the first flowers emerging. And usually the first flowers on the lawn are the cowslips. And April the 27th, I counted, I think, was it 38 or so cowslips in the on the front lawn there. Lovely to see. I managed to, as I said there, I managed to scare my neighbour. I think I got quite excited. I was that early in the morning, walking around in just my pants, counting cowslips, and I think my neighbour came out. I may have given a bit of a fright, so I do apologise if she's watching. So May the 6th was day 50. Now I was kind of impressed. I'd lasted 50 days, but it's saying, I thought, well, I still had so much to write about. So I thought I'll keep on going and see if I can get to day 100. And all that time, I hadn't really left the cul-de-sac. I stayed in the cul-de-sac, stayed in the garden, hadn't really gone out. There's me bravely going to the out into the great unknown there, where the cul-de-sac meets the drive around the corner. Hadn't really been out. I went out a few times, but it didn't work out for me so much leaving the cul-de-sac. Every time I went out, I managed to get into an argument with somebody. You may recall I went out to do some shopping, went to buy some horse manure, and I was building a grass snake compost heap. I managed to get into a huge argument around the corner while I was buying some horse manure about social distancing. So I came back. I had quite high blood pressure, and my wife said maybe it's best you to stay in the cul-de-sac from now on. So I did that. Now on day 51, I was really impressed to see a brimstone butterfly laying eggs on the alder buckthorn in the garden. I planted alder buckthorn. It's the food plant for the brimstone butterfly's caterpillars. So I planted it with the sole purpose of it being eaten by brimstone caterpillars. So I was really thrilled to see this butterfly zip in, lay her egg, and fly out again. I've got on slow motion here. Let's see if you can just. That was it. That was. Let's look at the details. So she flew in. You can see how she sort of curls her abdomen up, and she sort of pushed it against the alder buckthorn leaf, and off she goes. And if I got in close, you can just see the sort of skittle-shaped brimstone egg on the alder buckthorn there. And I watched those eggs develop, and I was out there on the sunny days in spring, counting all the brimstone caterpillars. Hopefully you see 4 there. Let's have a look. 1, 2. Oh yeah, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now in May, I went out in the evening to try and listen for the local tawny owls. I was quite surprised. I think I've been on a Zoom call that evening with a few old school friends. May have had too much tequila, but I wandered out in the street about 1 in the morning. A lovely evening, and I heard this in the distance. I thought maybe I'd had too much tequila, but there's a long way away, maybe over towards the downs somewhere. There's a cuckoo. A cuckoo was calling. I'd never heard him calling at night before, but anyway, 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the morning, he was calling somewhere out there in the distance. Now, after 8 years of waiting, I found something really exciting on May the 12th. I found some poo on the front lawn there. I knew straight away it was hedgehog poo. Now, I've always wanted to see a hedgehog in the garden. Hadn't seen one for a long time. And so, quick as a flash, I whipped out my hedgehog tunnel. Now, as I explained in the Nocturnal Wildlife talk the other day, these tunnels are a way of surveying for hedgehogs. Now, the idea is it's a long strip there on the right-hand side where you put 2 bits of white paper on either end, and then you put some bait inside. Now, I use these tinned hot dogs, which apparently hedgehogs love them. I do as well, and I did save some back for the hedgehog. But then the idea is you put like a little strip of sort of charcoal powder mixed with some vegetable oil, and when the hedgehog smells those hot dogs, he'll run in, he'll get his little feet dirty, and he'll have his hot dogs. When he walks out, he'll leave his footprints on the white paper, and that way you know you've got hedgehogs in your garden. Now, I've been doing these surveys for years and years, and it's never worked once. But now I knew there was a hedgehog in my garden. I thought now was the time. And I set a trail camera up, put the tunnel out. You can see the tunnel there, and look at that. There's the hedgehog. And when I played this footage back, I thought this is going to be incredible. We're going to see a success. My first ever hedgehog using a hedgehog tunnel. But this is what I caught on camera. Run straight past. Absolutely. You see it pausing and like thinking about it, and then it just runs straight past. Again, if you listen, I always say if you're listening, you hear the thing sniggering as it runs past the tunnel. So day 57. Now you may recall I've been planning in May. I was planning to go snorkeling over in some exotic reef somewhere in Thailand. That's not me, by the way, but that's where I should have been in May. But I wasn't going to miss out, so I got my snorkel on. I decided to go snorkeling in the pond in the back garden. So I dived in. I was kind of hoping I'd see a grass snake or some newts in there. Actually, I didn't see very much. It was actually quite murky in there. Also, I was a bit worried if I swallowed a mouthful of that, it's probably worse than getting the virus. So I was very careful. But my back garden snorkeling was immortalised in this lovely piece of art here by Darren, who sent that in. So thank you, Darren. The incredible piece of artwork there, which I still haven't framed it yet, but that's going on the mantelpiece at some point this year. Now, as I say, these ponds, if you put a pond in your garden, no matter how big, it could just be a washing up bowl sunk into the garden, or it could be a huge, big natural pond out there. We've got a small pond there, but it is so full of life. You know, we had toads there last year. There's a grass snake I mentioned, and a frog was in the pond as well. There's lots of things living in the pond, of course, lots of insects and invertebrates. There's hoverflies and demoiselle, beautiful demoiselle. Of course, there's other animals using the pond to drink, other insects and bees, and lots of birds. I put the trail camera by the pond. We saw all sorts of birds splashing around and bathing and drinking in the pond. Now, I love my moth trapping. I did a big talk about moth traps a few weeks back, did a whole webinar about moth traps. It's still available online. So I got the moth trap out on 14th of May. There it is. I hadn't used it very much. It'd been a bit cold in the evenings until then. And on May the 15th, went out in the morning. There weren't very moths. There weren't many moths in it. Not many moths. It's pretty moth light in the morning. However, it was filled with these guys. Now these are maybugs, cockchafers, and I love these guys. Absolutely incredible. Look at them. Just amazing little things. They seem so, I don't know, some like Victorian robots or something. They seem very strange little things. Here's a short video I made. I didn't make quite a long video, but here's my favorite little clip. I love them. Big chunky beetles bumbling around. Terrible. They can fly, but they can't fly very well. They always crash into the house or something. Amazing. But now day 66, I did a bit more moth trapping, and we had some incredible moths in the trap. We had some of the giant hawk moths, like the poplar hawk moth there, perched on Ian Botham's nose, as well as the gorgeous elephant hawk moth, and quite a nice variety of moths. I did quite a few moth videos on the diary, actually. They're still online. There's a link to them actually at the end of this talk for you moth lovers out there. And also I did a few surveys with these Longworth mammal traps. So these are humane traps where you can put some bait inside, hopefully get a better understanding what small mammals you have, voles, mice and shrews are in your garden. So on day 71, I put some of these traps out. I've never done a mammal survey in the garden before. I managed to trap 2 different species of mice. Now they're very similar. This is the wood mouse on the left. I managed to get them doing the same sort of pose. On the right-hand side is a yellow-necked mouse. Now they're quite similar. One way to tell them apart is this little sort of yellow neck, as the name would imply. But it's not very easy to tell them apart unless you can see them from underneath. However, when you do put a yellow-necked mouse and a wood mouse in a little glass fish bowl here, or fish tank here, you can tell by their behavior straight away, because the wood mouse, he sort of went in there, he sort of just walked, he sort of ran around. You know, he didn't seem to know what he was doing. I'm not saying they're stupid, but he didn't seem to sort of know what he was doing in there. But the yellow-necked mouse, they're really, really clever, and they're really, really powerful. They're incredible things. They're really lively. This guy here, he sort of walked around. He touched all 4 walls of the glass tank there. And he pretty much realized, okay, I'm in a tank, right? Okay, these walls aren't going to budge. How do I get out? Right, he looked around, you can see him looking around, and you can see him there, look at his eyes, he's formulating a plan there of escape. He worked out there's a weak point in the little lid I had on the tank. He went out, he banged it, he tested it, he realized it was a possible exit route. And he got all his power up, he jumped up, knocked the whole lid off the tank, gave me a little wave, and stuck his tongue out at me, then hopped back into the hedge. Very cunning animals, yellow-necked mice. I did another moth trap. This is probably one of the highlights of my 100 days of wildlife surveying, was to find this gorgeous moth, a little micro moth called the beautiful pearl. Now, I've never seen one of these before. It's a real rarity in England, a real rarity here in Sussex. So I was amazed to see one living right here in my garden. Absolutely stunning. Now, I thought I'd give you an update on day 79 of my wildflower meadow. See how it was getting on. It was looking absolutely gorgeous. I mean, really in the lovely sunshine we had during the summer of 2020. I just spent a lot of time just laying in this lovely wildflower meadow, just watching all the insects, the bees, hoverflies, the bumblebees, the butterflies. Absolutely incredible. Get right down here, you can see the lovely colours and the smell, and just the life of these things. A little video here. Just if you listen closely, you hear the buzzing of the insects. Just amazing. There's the and the back garden was just as my little wildflower patch in the back garden came out. Look at that. Looked great. I mean, it's just incredible the amount of life you see. I spend so much time just stood there staring. The longer you stand there and stare, the more things you see fighting and just chasing each other in through the long grass. Incredible. So much life. One of my highlights in 2020 was to see that these beautiful butterflies, marbled whites, had moved into the garden. And marbled whites to me are a butterfly of the sort of countryside. You see them up in the South Downs. To know they'd been living and establishing a colony in my garden was a real thrill. So one of my favourite butterflies. There's right on my doorstep. Beautiful, beautiful butterfly. There's a lovely photo by Bob there. And it isn't just marbled whites, of course. We have all sorts of butterflies in our garden. I have quite a list of butterflies now for our back garden. Loads of insects, all because we've let part of the garden turn into a wildflower meadow. That amazed me. I like this picture here because there's so much life, so much going on in this in my little corner of the cul-de-sac. But just beyond, there's a few gardens there where I see them mowing every Sunday. It's huffing and puffing and spraying a lot of water over them and stuff. And there's no life there at all. Just then they complain when it dries out. It looks dead. But I just can't understand. I can't understand why somebody would choose the right-hand side over the left. You've got to work hard to make it look horrible on the right-hand side there. I don't know why people do it. It really, I don't know. People, it confuses me. What was really nice, actually, when I put some details up about my little wildflower patch, was how many people it inspired to actually go and make a change in their garden. And I know people have been sending me photos of digging up their a corner of their garden or their entire garden to make a wildflower patch. And hopefully I'll be seeing some photos coming back this year of how these gardens, these wildflower lawns will turn out. If you look at our website, the Wildlife Trust website, there's a little guide there to how to make a little wildflower patch. It doesn't need to be the whole garden. It could be a little strip, even a little corner of the garden. Just if you put some wildflowers in it, it can make a big difference for wildlife. And you remember Graham across the road? You remember him referring to us, the vicar over the road, calling us enviromaniacs. Well, after he's seen my little wildflower garden, Graham and Edith over there got quite impressed and wanted to do their bit for wildlife as well. And so Graham's taken a small patch of his front lawn and he's taken the turf off, put some wildflower seeds down. And last year, there was loads of flowers and loads of nectar and loads of insects, loads of life. Here's a little wildflower patch there. He had a lovely Viper's bugloss. I was very jealous of that. I haven't got one of those in my garden, but that was great for bees. And so Graham's doing his bit for wildlife. It's good to see, actually, in my little cul-de-sac here. I'm very lucky, very fortunate that most of my neighbours are doing their bit for wildlife. So there's my little wildflower bits there in my bungalow. But then Graham's got his little patch as well, and a bit at the back. And David's got a lot of wildflower bits in his lawn. And so's Big Frank up the road, and Verity down there. Also, we've got some hedgerows, some native hedging put in for wildlife. And if you add in all the ponds and all the compost heaps and bird boxes, and you can see all the trees there as well. You say this is quite a nice little nature reserve here in my cul-de-sac. There's plenty of wildlife. So yeah, I've got some really nice neighbours. I'm very lucky. So get to the end of the diary now. I did say at the start. If I start doing face mites, I'm sort of scraping the bottom of the barrel. But to be honest, I love face mites. Now, in my nocturnal wildlife talk, I talk about face mites. I know some people didn't. They got the creeps to where I revealed that everyone has got face mites living on their face. But here's my little video I made of my own face mite. Here's one of my own face mites. There he is. This one's called Donald. There he is. There. Look. Give us a little wave. Hello. We've all got them, so don't don't judge me. We've all got face mites, but it was fascinating to actually to see one under a microscope. And then there's even more surprises. One of the most amazing things I discovered in my 100 days of surveying here in the garden, I saw move out there. That's all right. Pulled out a burglar. I saw a bat flying out of the neighbour's tiles by a roof there. So I went outside with a bat detector and a little clicker, and I thought I want to see how many bats are actually living in my neighbour's eaves there. I was amazed to find she had 126 bats roosting, pipistrelles roosting in her eaves there. It was incredible. And in the evening, I'd get a glass of wine and sit there and just watch this spectacle. Incredible. And some mornings at 4:30, if I hadn't slept too well, if I was awake in the night, I'd go out at first light. I could lay there. I wasn't just wearing my pants this time. I had some clothes on. I put some clothes on, and I could lay there on my neighbour's lawn, just look up and see all these incredible bats flying around my head. Amazing. Amazing to think there were so many bats living next door to me. I had no idea. And so there we are. We've got to day 100. 100 days in lockdown. I made it. I was quite surprised I got that far, but it was a really interesting experience, and it really sort of drove home to me, the uplifting role that nature plays in my life. I was so lucky to have a garden and to have some nice neighbours too. I could go and look at their gardens as well. But I was so lucky to have this garden. It was a lovely weather, of course, last year, and certainly I think studying the wildlife in my garden kept my spirits up. And kept me interested, kept me sane-ish as we went through those 100 days. I was really happy to share that with people on these diaries, and I had some incredible feedback. There's me waving myself off on the last days. I went out into the brave new world there. I had some incredible feedback all through the 100 days. But certainly on the last day, people say how much it meant to them. So it's good to know that I was providing a bit of service to you. Hopefully, it kept you sort of sane as well as we went through a very challenging time. I made a little film. I made a little film. It's about 8 minutes long of some of the highlights I filmed and photographed in my garden. I'll show it. We'll do it at the end. I'll play it at the end of the webinar when I finish off. You can if you want, you can leave if you want to, but if you want to sit around for 8 minutes, you can watch a short film I made of my 100-day diary, which I put together for day 100. So there we are. So thank you for listening this evening. Hope you enjoyed that. A bit of a look back, and hopefully it isn't just a look back; it's a look forward because we've still got a few tough months ahead. But the good thing is we're heading into spring now, and all that wildlife, that amazing wildlife I've shown you, is out there. It's waiting to emerge, and waiting for you to see and enjoy over the coming weeks. So and this morning, I was out in the garden. And the blackthorn is already blooming on the hedge in the front lawn there. And my first cowslips have made an appearance already. But my big news this year, I didn't see this last year, but I hadn't seen this for 8 years I've been here, is I regularly have yellowhammers visiting my garden now. And there was one on February 18th, then there was 2, and now there's 16 in the garden. There's 16 in the garden today. Here's a little video I made of some of them. Beautiful birds. That's amazing. I'll play it again. I'm so excited about that. Absolutely incredible to sit here and see this incredible flash of yellow that's next to me while I'm working. Wow, look at them. Wow, I've never been happier. Anyway, yellowhammers in the garden. Who'd have thought it? So thank you for listening tonight. Now we've got some other webinars coming up. We've got some new webinars I've just added to the website. So there's plenty to keep you busy, keep you distracted. As we move into April. Now, on Thursday, Evan Jones is doing a talk about Pevensey and Eastbourne levels. That should be fascinating. So tune in on Thursday evening to hear that. And then Sarah Ward and Dr. Ian Hendy will be talking about the Wildlife Trust's exciting project to rewild the Sussex kelp forest and help our kelp next Tuesday on March the 23rd. Dr. Barry Yates is back in April for members only talk, looking at spring at Rye Harbour. That should be a great talk from Barry there. And then myself and Barry and Charlotte and James will be looking at your sightings and your photos and your stories for Nature Table episode 11 on April the 13th. And then Claire Blencowe is back. I think she's awake there somewhere. Claire Blencowe is back, and she's, you remember Claire did some great talks about fungi at the start of our webinar series. She's back talking about wildlife recording and making nature count in Sussex and the work of Sussex Biodiversity Record Centre. And then Mike Russell comes back April the 20th. You may recall Mike was chatting about Henfield and Guyana over the last few weeks. He'll be giving you an introduction to bird song, so you'll learn your bird song as spring and the dawn chorus arrives. And the Sussex Ornithological Society are doing their talks as well. They've got a few talks left in their webinar series. Talk about the Arun Valley tomorrow night on Wednesday the 17th, and then talk about breeding birds in the rare breeding birds in the UK and lockdown birding in Afghanistan. So as always, the Wildlife Trust are providing these talks for free, and we hope we know you're enjoying them because we get so much lovely feedback and so many people, so many hundreds of people watch them every week. So if you are enjoying these talks, please consider making a donation to support the work of the Wildlife Trust. It'd be very much appreciated. Or if you're not a member of the Wildlife Trust, please consider joining us. Only a few £1 a month, but it really is worth every penny, and we appreciate having you on board. When this webinar ends, it'll take you to one of those link pages which I've set up. There'll be links there to all the diary pages which are archived. If you want to, of course, you can start on day one, March the 18th. You can just go through it and relive last year. I don't know why you want to relive 2020, but if you want to relive 2020, you can do that. There's some links there to all the videos I made throughout the year, as well as where you can register for the upcoming talks, and where you can donate and join the Wildlife Trust. Now, if you don't find that page, if it's gone wrong for some reason, if you go to our website and the homepage there, if you find the hair, click on his big ears, it'll take you through to the webinar extra page in there. So a big thank you to me for tonight's talk. There we are, big thank you to me. And a big thank you to you for listening tonight and for supporting Sussex Wildlife Trust. Now, as I said, I'm going to show a video now. So if you want to head off, you've seen it before, you can. But if you want to sit back with a cup of tea or a glass of tequila or something, I'll hopefully, let's have a look. I need to end that. Then wait a minute. This is watching me doing my technical bit again. Now, if I stop that, then I press that. Wait a minute, I got it. I share it down here. No, wait, no, don't, wait a minute. Wait a minute, folks, bear with me. Wait a minute, 1 second. Look. Wait a minute, do this. Look, I knew this would happen. Right. I press that, right? Then I go there. Okay, got it. Then I go here. Then I go there. Oh, right. Now I should do that. Okay, as I was saying, smoothly done, Blencowe, smoothly done. Here's an 8-minute video now of some of the highlights from the 100 Days Diary. So hope you enjoy it.
And until then, I'll sign off, but stay safe. I'll keep reporting what's happening in my back garden. inside the poo, you'll find, if you break the white surface, the green woodpecker poo is absolutely stuffed with ant skeletons. It's really cool. Look at this. If I strip. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. Right, 1. Pretty cool. It's a quick celebration for getting past 20 there.